Paul was born in Wausau, Wisconsin, and raised in Stamford, Connecticut. Due to his proximity to New York City, he enjoyed listening to radio stations broadcasting from the Big Apple, but he never really considered radio as a career. He wanted to be a priest. Pause here for gasps of disbelief. And in pursuit of that goal, he spent his high school years at Salesian Seminary in Goshen, New York. After 4 years in the seminary, he decided the priesthood was not for him. He worked a variety of odd jobs, mostly as a security guard, while attending Fairfield University in Fairfield, Connecticut. Upon graduation from college, he finally started down the path that would lead to a very satisfying and successful radio career for 4 decades. Paul went to work as a research director for Starr Broadcasting Group after college. Paul's role in the company was to ensure that all the stations in the group were compliant with FCC rules and regulations. This meant a great deal of travel for him, as the company had stations in several cities, and this marked the beginning of his lifelong love of travel. His next stop was very unexpected and almost didn't happen. Paul Starr, the Connecticut Yankee, found himself driving down a dusty, desolate road to the tiny town of Seminole, Texas, where he would be the general manager of KIKZ AM country radio station. Many times during the drive, he had to force himself not to turn the car around and head back to more familiar territory. But he had to have a job, and this was a great opportunity to learn all aspects of small market broadcasting, including how to sell radio advertising. He didn't have the first idea about how to sell advertising.
Part of my advertising campaign.
But it came naturally to him, and in very short order, profits were up. There was nothing he wouldn't do to make a sale. If the fire alarm went off in town and all you had to do was turn on your radio and the announcer would tell you where the fire was located. But first, you had to hear a commercial brought to you by the sponsor of the fire alarm. He also did the occasional air shift, sports play-by-play announcing, but one of his favorite jobs was co-hosting a daily 30-minute talk show with one of his salespeople. It was called Coffee Talk. It was very popular, and it started his love of interviewing people, which continued throughout his entire career. While at KIKZ, he met his future wife, Dana, who was an announcer, and they married in 1980. Now, that same year, he heard about an opportunity 30 miles down the road in Hobbs, New Mexico, and he went for it. Of course, he didn't know it at the time, but that was the beginning of a very successful association with Noelmark Broadcasting, which continues to this day. His first job for Noelmark was as sales manager of their 2 stations in Hobbs, KZOR and KYKK. He did that for a couple of years, and then moved to El Dorado, Arkansas as sales manager of Noelmark's flagship stations, KELD and KAYZ. After 3 years in Arkansas, he had the chance to return to Hobbs, New Mexico as vice president and general manager of the 2 Noelmark stations. One of his proudest achievements at Noelmark has been to help grow the group from 2 stations in the New Mexico market to 8 stations. Paul never missed working in the big cities as he had done in the beginning of his career. He and his wife raised their 2 sons in Hobbs, and Paul was very involved in the community, raising funds for the Palmer Drug Abuse Program, United Way of Lee County, and the American Cancer Society. He also served over the years as president of many organizations, including Hobbs Rotary Club, Hobbs National Little League, Hobbs Trade Development Council, and the Hobbs Eagle Baseball Boosters. He served as vice chairman for the City of Hobbs Lodgers Tax Commission and was a board member of the Hobbs Chamber of Commerce and the New Mexico Broadcasters Association. At the end of 2010, Paul retired as the manager of the stations in Hobbs, and he and his wife moved back to Texas. He still consults and does part-time sales for Noelmark Broadcasting. Paul will never really retire from radio because he still enjoys his association with the wonderful broadcasters he has met and the talented and loyal people he worked with for so many years.